continuing with the best of series. That is some of the things that I like the most in the scriptures, some of the favorite stories and episodes. Here we decided to start reverse order, Revelation to Genesis instead of Genesis to Revelation. And the first part that I picked that I really like is the letters to the churches, because I do believe that they are all three. I think that they are prophetical. I think that's kind of the direction the church is headed in. I think that they're also practical. That is, that you can see these trends in today's churches and churches of the past. So we can see that they're not only prophetical, but they're also practical, and they may be perennial, and that in fact that this has always been present in some churches, and the dangers the church has always faced. And so we see these letters. The first one was to Ephesus, the faithful church left its first love. Church at Smyrna, the fearful church, going through tribulation and poverty. And the church at Pergamum, which we're looking at today, is the faltering church. It's the church that is going to be studied in detail today in the devotion. But notice that Ephesus is an existing place that we know that Paul visited. Smyrna we can't find elsewhere in the scripture other than Revelation. Pergamum may well be Perga, which is an actual place that Paul visited during some of his missionary journeys. You'll find it in Acts 13:13. They were holding fast to the name of Jesus, and they were not denying him. That is, most of the members were not. Even when there was a time of martyrdom and people dying for the cause of Christ. And certainly we have seen that in the past. We see that in the present, and probably see it a lot more in the future. However, they were getting caught up in two teachings, which are spoken of here in symbolic terms, and the fact that they were practicing the teachings of Balaam, and also the Nicolaitans. And it's really quite interesting. John Phillips does an excellent job of outlining the practices of Balaam, and he says that this is a teaching that if you can't conquer them, or you can't curse them, then what you want to do is you want to cause them to stumble, or you want them to compromise, and you want them to do things that they normally wouldn't do. So what you do is you bring in immorality, you bring in things that would cause faithful servants of God to stumble. We certainly see that today in the world. And so what we find is that churches often find comfort in compromise. And yet sometimes God's principles can't be compromised at all. And so we see the teachings of Balaam that have crept into the church, and then we also see the Nicolaitans, which is a outward kind of a thing, where we see sacrifice through the fact of immorality, and they bring in teachings of the world, and it's a very dangerous kind of thing. So what do we got here at the church? We have some that are holding fast strongly, giving testimony, and not denying Christ in any way, shape, or form. We have others in the church that are being corrupted and finding comfort in compromise and acts of immorality, and calling good evil and evil good. Has that always been the case in the church? Yeah, some places it has always been the case. Is it currently present in the church? The answer is yes, it is. There is a chance that it's going to get stronger and stronger in the future? The answer certainly is yes. We can see a trend in that direction, where we're calling good evil and evil good. Abortion, immorality, same-sex marriage, all of these things are becoming more and more prevalent. And there's a warning from God. And just as there was warnings to the other two churches, there's a warning from God to the church at Pergamum. And that warning is that I'm going to come and I'm going to do war with you, not physical battle, but the word of his mouth. And I think that's quite interesting, because I think God's word will always cut through and will always bring about the separation of sheep from goats, will always bring about the separation of righteous from unrighteousness. And so we see this sword of his mouth at work. And there's a reward as well, just as there was rewards for the other churches for being faithful and sticking to God's word. He says he would give them manna from heaven. That's wonderful, isn't it? Because one of the basic needs that we have is food, and he'll always give us manna from heaven when we hold fast. And he says he'll give us the white stone. Now, the white stone is quite interesting, because many of you know that in days past they would take a little bag or a little container and have a black stone and a white stone, and obviously the white stone would bring about a reprieve from whatever judgment, and the black stone would mean that you were condemned and it would find judgment. And the white stone certainly represents purity, as the black stone does not. Please don't read anything into that about black and white people. I can't stand it when people take things that are real symbols but not symbols of people and try to impose some kind of a prejudice or bias because of the black and the white. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's not at all what the Bible intended, and the Bible is not a prejudice book, and it is not one that would say that black people are impure, or black people are not good and white people are. And that's just absolutely not what the Bible is teaching here. So many times we can take colors and numbers and objects and make them something that they're not. I guess my best example of that is Christians many times criticize those that wear crucifix, saying he's not on the cross anymore. Well, the people that wear the crucifix would say, but this is a reminder of the suffering that he did for me. You see, the symbols and signs are only what you make of them, not something that's cast in concrete as black and white. So please don't read that into this thought for the day. So Pergamum, the faltering church, holding fast and giving testimony with some in the church, but others following Balaam, that is allowing the church to be corrupted, and the comfort of compromise and the impurity slipping in through the Nicolaitans, and we certainly see those things present. So let's stay white stones, all of us, regardless of the color of our skin. Let's stay white stones, righteous before Christ. And remember that he gives us manna from heaven, and the word of his mouth will always fight against the untruths and that's probably not even a word, but the fight against the falsehoods and some of the corruption that's going on within the church today. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.